This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
If you thought making money on real estate was just for big spenders, well, you're in for a surprise. There are investments out there that require very little cash up front, yet have the potential for outstanding returns. What are they? How do you get hooked up? Visit jasonhartman.com. You'll learn everything you ever want to know about investing in real estate, but we're afraid to ask. You can even see how to get back the taxes you've paid for the last 5 years just by investing in real estate. Visit jasonhartman.com.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Show with Jason Hartman. You're about to learn a new slant on investing, some exciting techniques, and fresh new approaches to the world's most historically proven asset class that will enable you to create more wealth and freedom than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine self-made multimillionaire who's actually been there and done it. He's a successful investor, lender, developer, and entrepreneur who's owned properties in 11 states, had hundreds of tenants, and been involved in thousands of real estate transactions. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to your financial independence day. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Hey, it's Jason Hartman, the Empowered Investor, and this is podcast episode number 1768. We have an awesome case study today. I love it when we do these client case studies because it is so cool to share a story of a real estate investor who has just done amazing things. Now, let me tell you about Winston. This guy is awesome. Here's a picture of him at our last Collective Mastermind event, where we had a beautiful luncheon at the home of Robert Kiyosaki, of course, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, author of that whole series. And Winston was there because he's a member of the Collective Mastermind. And we had a cocktail reception 2 nights before this at the same event. And he shared with me that in the last year, he was earning just from one dimension of his real estate portfolio. And you know, I've taught you over the years that income property is a multi-dimensional asset class. So we earn return on investment in many ways. You know, so many investments, as they call them, I think they're really speculations, are just one-dimensional. For example, non-dividend paying stock. The whole strategy is buy low, sell high. Precious metals, buy low, sell high. Cryptocurrencies, buy low, sell high, right? One-dimensional asset classes. Now, I know there are some creative things you can do with all of these, especially the crypto assets, but by and large, it's a buy low, sell high strategy. That's really the major game that most people are playing. Yes, there are some esoteric things you can do. I understand that. But income property, we earn return on investment from so many aspects. On this case study with Winston, a great real estate investor who did not learn how to read until he was 30 years old. Okay? But he started buying properties before that, right? So if you think you don't have a head start, right? Listen to this guy's story. It's amazing. I mean, just an incredible story. So Winston shared with me that from just appreciation on his properties, he earned last year about $550 per hour, every hour of every day. And we were at that cocktail reception for about 2.5 hours. So Winston earned about $1,300, well, more than $1,300 at that cocktail reception that we had the first night of the Collective Mastermind event. This is including sleeping hours. So a truly remarkable asset class. Okay, let's dive into it. I want to give you a little bit of a secret as to how he did this before you hear the story right from him. So of course, he's a member of the Collective Mastermind group. He's also a member of our Empowered Investor Inner Circle. He is a giver. He really shares a lot of great information about what he's doing in the Empowered Investor Inner Circle, and we really appreciate having Winston in there. So here's an example. This is not Winston's example, but I just want to give you some very realistic examples of the kind of return you can earn with your income property portfolio. Very, very realistically. So just on a very modest $1 million real estate portfolio, I mean, think about that. Nowadays, that is not much, given that the dollar has been debased, it has been inflated away. $1 million ain't what it used to be, for sure. But say, for example, you own 4 single-family rental homes that are worth $250,000 each. So that's a $1 million portfolio. And hopefully, you either put down just 20% on those properties, so your equity position is $200,000, or you followed my strategy that I've been teaching for many, many years, which is to constantly engage in what I call equity stripping. And you're stripping out the equity from the properties so that you are making that money work for you. You don't want a bunch of equity sitting in properties. It becomes lazy money. It becomes sleepy money. It's not doing anything. There's a metric in income property, especially used in commercial real estate, that I think is a faulty metric, a very misleading metric. It's called return on equity. Why do I think return on equity is bogus? It's BS. It's not even real. It is because you get the same return without measuring equity. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the return on equity is a metric that does signify how much return you're getting on your leverage. And hopefully you're using a lot of leverage, because that is the most prudent thing to do. It accelerates wealth creation and it reduces risk as long as you're using it prudently. Okay, so you've got $200,000 equity in this portfolio. Remember, the beautiful thing about income property is you can be a lot bigger than you really are. Well, I remember when I was a kid and I would stand on the sidewalk, and if the sun was behind me, I would, maybe I'm 3 feet tall as a kid, but I would look at the shadow cast, and the shadow is 9 feet tall. So literally, because of the sun being behind me, the light behind me, it increases my size. It made me bigger than I was. And that's what leverage does for us with income property. It makes us bigger than we are, so we can control more property, we can do more. So this very modest example of just a $1 million portfolio with $200,000 in equity. Now, last year, we had a pretty amazing year in the real estate world. Obviously, the central banks and the governments around the world are loosening the money supply. They're turning on the printing press, as you will. That's a bit of a metaphor, obviously, because most money is created, it's created by lending. It's lent into existence. It's created electronically, in essence. So it was a pretty amazing year. But in most years, it won't be like this. But still, it's pretty awesome. Remember, we're just talking about one metric with Winston in this case study that's coming right up. Okay, $1 million portfolio, 17% appreciation, $170,000. 365 days in the year, that's $466 per day, or $19 per hour, every hour, right? Yeah. You're thinking, no big deal, but that money does come in when you sleep. See, you are earning beyond your own efforts. You are using OPM, other people's money, and other people's efforts, because what is going into this whole equation? Well, it's your renters are working for you. 33 to 40% of their income is given to you every month. And I say that because that's the typical debt ratio with a renter, right? If you're going to rent to a house, you don't want them renting your house if the rent is more than 40% of their income. And ideally, you're going to scale that back and have it not be more than a third of their income. So think about it. In every month, the first 10 to maybe 14 days of the month, the renter is working for you. After that, they are working for themselves. Well, and the government, sadly, right? Because that's the amount of rent they're typically paying you. It's truly an amazing equation. Okay, let's look at the same thing by adding 1 0, a $10 million portfolio. And keep in mind, some of you are thinking, $10 million, that's a lot. Well, not really. Like the saying goes, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and drastically underestimate what they can do in 5 years or 10 years. They totally underestimate it. This $10 million portfolio only requires about $2 million in equity, right? So you can leverage it. You can buy a lot more. And remember, when you get into this world of buying more and more properties, the properties themselves become the qualifiers for your financing, not you, not your job personally. Okay, let's look at this example. So again, it was an uncommon great year in the last year, right? It's not normally going to happen, certainly. Normally, most economists would say, and most real estate market experts would say, that the typical appreciation rate for real estate is about 6%. About 6%. Okay, but again, Winston and I were talking about the last year, and that's what the case study is about. Before that, he made less. But remember, we're only talking about one dimension. We didn't include tax benefits. We didn't include all of the other things that make income property so great. But in this example, 17%, 1.7 million per year in just one mention, only appreciation, divide by 365 days in a year, you're making almost $4,700 per day, almost $200 per hour on this portfolio. Wow. Truly, truly incredible. Not to mention all of the other areas where you get return on investment. But one thing you must do is you must set up structures to protect your assets. And folks, this is one of those things that is very easy to do. It's very inexpensive to do, but it's one of those areas in life where you must do it well in advance. And it can create huge tax benefits, huge estate planning benefits, and huge asset protection benefits for you. So do this now. We've got a great free web class that can teach you how to do it. And the attorney who teaches that class makes a very economical, very inexpensive, you won't believe it, offer at the end if you want to pursue it. But if you don't, you'll learn a lot from the class. So just go to jasonhartman.com/protect and check out that free class, jasonhartman.com/protect. It's about 90 minutes long. You're going to learn a lot of stuff. Definitely check it out. And if you want to reach out to us in the US, you can dial us up at 1-800-HARTMAN, 1-800-HARTMAN in the US only, and around the world, jasonhartman.com. We're happy to help you. Now, let's get into this case study with Winston. You are going to be amazed at what this guy did, not having any advantages in life. I bet where you are now, certainly, or where you started, is much further ahead of where Winston started. And he has built this huge real estate portfolio, about 150 units or so, and just done some awesome things. And every hour of every day in the last year, just from one dimension alone, only appreciation, he earned about $550 per hour from his portfolio. We're going to go into it. We're going to look at spreadsheets. You're going to see how he did it. All right, here we go to Winston. I am so excited today because I have an awesome guest for you. You're going to absolutely love his story. Winston Templet is a member of our Empowered Investor Inner Circle and our Collective Mastermind. And last weekend in Scottsdale, Arizona, we were having dinner, we were talking, and I just learned more and more about this amazing man and his incredible story. It is a true rags to very riches in real estate. And he's got some great ways of calculating return on his portfolio. You're really going to love this. Winston, welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm doing really well.
It's good to have you. And you're coming to us from Nashville, right?
I am.
Fantastic. Now, I really enjoyed our conversation just a week ago now. Winston, you told me that you were calculating how much you were earning on your portfolio in just one metric. We all know income property is multidimensional, and that's why we love it, because you can make money so many ways. Income, appreciation, depreciation, tax benefits, leverage, equity buildup through mortgage paydown, and of course, inflation-induced debt destruction. And you just took one of these things, just one, appreciation, and you calculated how much you were earning per hour, per work hour, meaning if it was based on a 40-hour week, but also on a 168-hour week while you sleep. And then you calculated it per minute and per second.
And I used appreciation because appreciation is a constant. I got no cost on my appreciation. So that's just a true number of what my portfolio equity is growing.
Right. Yeah, that is awesome. And folks, maybe we'll save that because it's going to totally blow your mind. We're going to show you some numbers. We're going to show you a spreadsheet. We're going to show you the properties he has acquired, and he's just done a tremendous job. But Winston, give us a little background, tell everybody where you grew up, what your childhood was like, and it just makes it such an awesome rags to riches story. Somewhat similar to my own, but I'd say yours is much more amazing than mine.
Well, I born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and grew up part of my life in New Orleans, Louisiana, and a little bit of my life in Picayune, Mississippi, and then going back and forth between the two. Grew up, in a poor house. I don't guess you realize you're poor, but we were poor, and a little bit more abusive than what most people could probably handle, I would say, without going into much detail at that. But I left home when I was 17. I graduated high school not being able to read. So I never really thought much about it. And I think probably one of the most humiliating days of my life was I had went up to Springfield, Missouri to visit a girlfriend. And we went to Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher asked me to read. I was trying to just one paragraph. Right. I'm trying to read it, and every single word I'm trying to pronounce, the man is correcting me on and trying to do it. And that was when I was 20 years old, probably.
Wow.
So I realized, I said, okay, I got to do something, but I still didn't do anything. I left New Orleans. I moved to Tennessee when I was 24, and I started my first company when I was 24, doing service work. Lived in a trailer. I didn't have running water. I lived there for 2 years without running water. The floor is so rotted out in the trailer that the dog would stick his head up through the floor and look at you while I was watching TV. The windows, half of the windows in the old trailer they had plywood on them because they were broken out. And right there at that particular point in time, I started my first business. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anybody to tell me I couldn't do it. And nowadays, everybody wants to tell you what you can't do rather than what you can't do, and tell you why you can't do it. But we have capabilities beyond measure whenever we decide to do that. So on your first business, you were just repairing stuff and you didn't even know how to do it. You just figured it out. I started a restaurant service company, having never worked on a piece of restaurant equipment, having never worked on an air conditioner, having never done plumbing. None of the stuff that I started the company I had ever done in my life. And the guy that asked me to start the company, he was just so frustrated with people not showing up to work. He said, I just want you to show up. If you show up, we'll figure everything else out. Yeah. So really, it's a story that should never happen. And my goal was, I just wanted to do $100 a day. If I could just bill out $100 a day in business, then I could do better than what I was doing. And that first year I started in March, from March to December, I built out $382,000.
Wow. And this is about 25 years ago, right?
I was in 1992.
Okay. So almost 30 years ago. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
So $382,000 adjusted for inflation is pretty incredible. I mean, it's good income today, but it was awesome back then. And especially because I assume you had virtually no living expenses, right?
No, we didn't. I didn't know any money on anything. a little more story to how I got there. I mean, I had a car that had gotten repossessed, so we didn't have that note anymore.
Mhm.
And we just didn't have nothing. My wife would make a baked bean pie and we would eat on it for 3 days or so, trying, just trying to get by.
Mhm.
And I did, working to make $382,000. I was billing out at a 32 an hour rate. So I would work and I may not go home. I may not sleep for 3 days. I would work 24 hours a day. And I did that the first 10 years in business. So that was my sacrifice to get to where I got. It wasn't just go to work 40-hour work week and come home and enjoy life. It wasn't. It was just, you go to work and you just stay there till you can't.
Yeah. That's awesome. And an amazing story, amazing work ethic, Winston. Now, when you started making money, really for the first time in your life, making real money like that, what did you do with it? Where did that money go? And most people would have just sort of taken the easy path. They would have gotten a hold of some money and they would have relaxed. They would have bought some toys. They would have blown it. They would have partied. You didn't do that, did you?
Well, I didn't, at the time, I mean, you couldn't even have a drink of alcohol because, I was on call 24 hours a day. I never knew when I was going to work. So when I started making money, I put everything I made back into the company for the first 6, 7, 8 years. And then after that right there, I started buying real estate. My first real estate deal that I bought was a trailer park. And, I still own that trailer park today. And I've never been a person that really, I don't go after really fancy stuff. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm 53 years old and I still don't drive a personal vehicle. I have a service van I drive everywhere.
I know you still drive your service van.
If I go buy a fancy truck for what? Right. What am I going to do with that?
Yep. That's great. I love it. Most people just will not delay gratification. Now, you don't need to delay gratification anymore, but that just isn't meaningful to you, right? Different things are meaningful to different people, right?
Not at the moment. And my wife is the same way. So that stuff doesn't mean anything to her really either. So we live a modest life and just try and do that right there. Now, I kind of just tinkered around in real estate all the way up to 2014, buying a little property here, a little property there and selling. And then in 2004, I actually joined Rich Dad Company and took the classes. And that took my real estate education and put me on steroids to what I was doing then. And I learned why I was doing the things I was doing. And that's why whenever I attended your event, the Empowered Investor event, we got a great portfolio, but you never stop learning. You never sit back and say, I know it, so I don't need that education. We go to those classes and we make 10 times what the classes cost us. And we join the Collective, and it's a nice sum of money to join that right there. But I guarantee you, I don't care when we meet, I'm gonna make that money back every single time, and I will. And on the first day, my wife came to me with something and she said, I done found my nugget. We're going to make the whole amount of money back with this.
Oh yeah. I got to hear what.
And I really, now I'm drawing a blank at what she was talking about. It was something, how we were doing something on one of the properties.
Uh-huh.
But it's there. And if people would realize, if they would invest into themselves, it'll pay back tenfold easy.
Yeah. I agree with you. That is such a good lesson, Winston. It really is. So you learned to read at age 30. How did you do that?
We were heavy involved in church at that time. And I was actually teaching a Sunday school class before I could read. And then my wife just helped me. She just worked with me and helped me. And I actually learned to read by reading the Bible.
Mm-hmm. So self-taught then?
Self-taught.
Yeah.
I bought the Hooked on Phonics classes and all, but I never could. I don't know that they work or don't work. I just could not commit to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And you read the good book. That was your first book. all 64, right?
That was it.
That's great. That's awesome. So you taught yourself to read, before Rich Dad, and it was probably really awesome for you last weekend to meet Robert Kiyosaki, I bet, and of course Ken McElroy, right? Because that's the Rich Dad crew, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But what made you, even before that, years before that, buy properties? Like, why did you think that was a good idea? Did you get that from somewhere, or did it just seem like?
I didn't think it was a good idea at all.
Oh,
I had a guy that he would call me. He worked for me, and then he went and got his real estate license, and he started selling real estate. And he called me for a year straight. Almost probably every 2 weeks, he would call me and say, "Hey, I got this property you need to buy." And I would say, "I'm not buying a property." And then, he found this trailer park, and he said, "You need to buy this trailer park." He said, there's synergy that you can use within your company, because when your guys aren't working, which they were never not working really, he said, but when your guys aren't working, they can go work at this trailer park and you can use that labor to do it. And I bought that trailer park just so he would stop asking me to buy the trailer park. So as dumb as that sounds, that is what it was.
Yeah.
And
you bought the mobile home park.
I'm not.
Yeah. For nuisance value.
Oh, that's probably the first time you heard that, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Just stop nagging me. I'll buy the dang thing.
But it produced, I paid $190,000 for it, and it was producing about $12,000 a month income.
Wow.
And
yeah.
I mean, positive income, $12,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So once I bought that, I thought it was great. And then I went out and I bought, a couple of years later, I bought 3 more trailer parks up in Russellville, Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
And I bought them right, but I didn't have the ability, the knowledge to manage like I needed to manage.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have the ability to do the due diligence that I needed to do. Never been taught how to do it.
Yeah.
So I missed the fact that the water was coming out of Missouri and it was costing $4,000 a month for water and the things.
Wow.
I think it might be like the meth capital of Kentucky, because it was all drugs, and I could not get the drugs out of the parks. And, I would go in and rehab a trailer, and they would come in and destroy it in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And finally I was burning about $8,000 a month on it in losses. And I finally just told my wife, I said, I'm going to auction them all off. They're going in 30 days. And I did. I put them up for auction. Whatever they brought, they bought, which I broke even on them, less the $8,000 a month cash flow that I lost.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, what a great lesson. It was an expensive lesson. But right after that is when I joined Rich Dad, and I could see all of the mistakes that I had made in how I did my business once I got a little bit of education. And I could have made that work. Had I had them parks right now, I could make those parks work right now. Yeah. Because I have a whole different ability to manage those kind of properties.
Winston, one of the things I always say is that the most expensive education any of us ever get is from the real world, right? It's an education, and it's good to get it if you need it, but it's the most expensive education. The least expensive education is the stuff we learn from a mastermind group or courses or podcast or YouTube. That's really inexpensive, and hopefully we can avoid as many mistakes as possible. But learn from someone who's made them, right?
Absolutely. And you go to those events and you're around like-minded people the whole entire time. And those people build you up, and they send you back home ready to just conquer the world. And that dies out real fast. Yeah. I used to do the Rich Dad events every single month. I flew wherever they were holding it. Mm-hmm. But I would go home and I would use whatever strategy they were teaching me, and I would buy a piece of property and I would make my money back every single month just through that process. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're so engaged. I remember when you became a member of our Empowered Investor Inner Circle group, you were instantly, like the moment you joined, you were posting stuff. We have a social network there. It's not on Facebook, it's on another platform, but we have a private social network. And you were posting things about deals you were doing and asking questions and helping other members and answering questions. And it was great. I mean, you're just such a great asset to the group and also to the Collective Mastermind. So, others are definitely learning from you. And I think your most recent deal is that you're working on, if I'm not mistaken, is you're basically buying a neighborhood, right? Of 41 homes?
I'm buying a neighborhood of 41 homes that adjoins to an apartment complex that I own, and another piece of land behind this neighborhood that has 10 acres that I can probably put a couple of hundred apartment units on the 10 acres.
It's fantastic.
It is a really awesome deal, and I'm probably buying it about 50% of its value. So we're real excited about that.
Good for you. Good for you. So you sent me over a spreadsheet, And you were just so willing to share with people. And for the people who are watching this on video, I thought we'd maybe go over that a little bit and talk about the teaser that I made at the beginning, which was the return on just appreciation alone, nothing else, and go over that. So let me share the screen and let's just dive into this a little bit. Is that okay, Winston?
That is fine.
Here we go. And I think you can see that, right?
I can see it.
Okay, so this is the spreadsheet, and here it's got a bunch of property addresses, property values. Some are land, so they don't get any income, but some get income, and there's your loan payment and your loan balance on these properties. And so this overall portfolio adds up to about $29 million almost. Okay, it's about 29 million, and it's 150 total units. Is that?
Yeah, there's a little bit over 150 total right now.
Okay, great. So know this, we're talking about a portfolio that's $28,680,000 is the estimated value of the portfolio. But the great thing that Winston did that was just awesome is he calculated the appreciation on this portfolio. So let me show you this. This is just super amazing. Now, at 6% appreciation, 8%, 10%, 17%. And by the way, your spreadsheet says appreciation forecast. But if we're looking at the last 12 months, we already know that it's probably been pretty reliably about 17%. I mean, though the statistics are out, of course, all real estate is local. There are many markets in the country. You all know this. We've talked about it a zillion times. But based on this portfolio, just appreciation, nothing else, no tax benefits, no rental income, no mortgage pay down, no inflation-induced debt destruction, no leverage, right? None of that. Simply appreciation alone at 6%, which is mostly people consider the average over the course of decades to be about 6%. Your annual appreciation, if you buy nothing else, is $1,720,000. I'm just kind of rounding off for speed here. That means every day you're making about $4,700 in appreciation. Based on a 24-hour day, you're making $196 per hour, even when you sleep. Mm-hmm. And based on a 40-hour work week, you're making, comparing it to someone working, right?
Correct.
You're making $827 an hour. That's amazing. And per minute, you're making $3.27 a minute. This is all your calculations here. So that's just at 6%. But if we look at more realistically what they say we did last year, which is about 17%, that means the portfolio did $4,875,000 in appreciation. That's over $13,000 a day. And that's 556 hours per hour of a 24-hour day. And Winston, when we were at dinner last week, this is what you said to me. And this is what blew my mind, because I never even looked at my portfolio this way. I never bothered to consider it this way, right? It's great.
Look at it was when Zillow came out, they had forecasted over the next 12 months, we're going to be at 17.87% here in the area that I live in and where most of my properties are. And I said, 17%. I said, I got to break that down so I can see what I'm making. And that's what I want. I want to know what I'm making an hour, every hour of the day. So it's just, that's the way my mind works, I guess.
Yeah, it's awesome, because you said to me when we were at dinner, and we had a cocktail reception before, and then we sat down and had dinner, and we were talking, and we were sitting right next to each other, and you said that you made about $1,100 since you came here tonight. And then we got into this conversation, and I asked you, well, how long do you think you're going to sleep? And we started calculating how much money you're going to make while you sleep.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's if you work a 40-hour work week, that's coming out to $2,344 an hour. Yep. Why?
Yeah.
Incredible. I talk to so many people and I'm like, why aren't you doing what we're doing? I can help you with everything. I got several friends that I've helped that are doing it, but there's a lot that you talk to that they cannot they can't put the television remote control down long enough to be able to do it.
Yeah, but Winston, there's another really important thing, and I talk about it all the time. You've heard me talk about it on the podcast. A big key to success is the willingness to delay gratification. And that's what you did. When you started making money, you put your money back into the company. You did not go out and increase your lifestyle. You didn't party it away. You kept working hard. Most people would have just relaxed and they would have blown it. And
I was so afraid. I was so afraid of going back to where I come from.
Yeah.
I was so afraid of going back to that trailer. I was so afraid of, and I'm not a money hungry person. I don't do any of this for money anymore. I really do it. Right now, I have a 10-year goal of acquiring 200 million in assets. That's assets that I personally own, not assets that I syndicate where they have partnerships. Right. That's just what I have. And that is a really cool goal.
Yeah, but which, by the way, we should say that this is not syndication. A lot of syndicators are out there and, it's very misleading. Okay. I just tell you, it's like inflation. It's misleading, right? Because they'll say, well, we've got 1,000 units, but they don't have them. Yeah, they did the deal because they set it up, but, they took investors' money. So, maybe they have 20% of that. Or whatever, right? Depending on whatever deal they offered in their syndication. So that's the important thing to understand. These are your properties, okay? This is not investor money. It's your money, okay? And that's awesome. And so, this willingness to delay gratification, that is one of the cornerstones of success in any endeavor in life. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes that's kind of maybe the corollary to it. And it came from Napoleon, the great military general. And he said, the most dangerous moment comes with victory. Think about that.
I agree.
Think about that one really hard, everybody. The most dangerous moment comes with victory. What did Napoleon mean by that? Well, what he meant is that we become complacent. We relax, we get arrogant, we get cocky, and, we make mistakes when we do that, right? We've got a
lottery winner.
Yeah, the lottery winners, exactly, who win hundreds of millions of dollars in a year, it's gone, right? That's incredible that someone could screw that up. But,
I agree.
Yeah. Or, another example of this is if you leave your kids too much money, or at too young an age, it's likely not to work out. I mean, sometimes it does, but make sure they have the maturity to handle it. Okay. And that's what's important. So based on this 17%, just to finish here, we got $13,000 a day, 4.8 million a year, $556 an hour. And on a 40-hour work week, it's over $2,300 an hour. And it's over $9 a minute. Winston, that's just amazing.
That's 15 and a half cents a second.
Yeah. And what do you say to me before we started today, Winston, about the seconds? You can't even count it, can you?
You can't count it. I mean, I can go up to about 45 seconds and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So in other words, if you try to say there's another 15 cents, what do you say, 15 cents?
I'm 15 cents on appreciation only. Yes.
Yeah. So 15 cents, 30 cents, 45 cents, 60 cents, you can't count it. The seconds go by faster than you can count it.
No, you can't. And my brother had sent me a text message this morning because we're going to his house for Thanksgiving. And he said, hey, I want you to have your goals written out. I'm going to have all mine written out. And he sent it to his kids and all. And he said, we're going to go over everybody's goals when we get there. And I said, okay. I said, right now I make total of about 20 cents a second. I said, and I'm going to try and get that up to 22 cents a second next year. He said, that is not what I'm looking for.
I don't think they're going to relate to that, Winston. Yeah. That's awesome. This is so great. Well, your message is very inspiring. I mean, think about it. You had none of the advantages in life that probably most people listening to this already have. They've been blessed with, great advantages. My start wasn't great either. It was better than yours, though. I'm amazed constantly at the opportunity for mobility, socioeconomic mobility in this great country. And, other countries, there are opportunities too. There are rags to riches stories all over the world. So even if you're not in the US, and a lot of listeners aren't, don't think that you can't do it, okay? Because people do this kind of stuff in many, many countries all around the world. But Winston, what other messages or advice would you like to share with people listening, about your story and how it's a Horatio Alger rags to riches story? It's awesome.
I think the goal setting is a huge thing for people to understand. There's so much power in writing those goals down every year. And we still do it every year. We write our goals down as to what we want to do the next year. It's so important to walk into a room and don't go in there to impress. Go there. I step into a room now and I really look at everybody and I feel like most of the time I'm probably the dumbest person in the room. I really believe that most of the people in that room are way smarter than I ever have been. And I listen, and it doesn't matter if they don't own any real estate. They've heard ideas and I'll listen to their ideas. And I'm looking for something, as much as we're talking about what they're doing, I'm looking for something that can help me in the same thing, something that maybe they think that makes you look at something a different way. And, we always have to have that attitude that we have not arrived. I have not arrived. I'm still searching for it. I'm still searching for a goal. And now in my life, it really is, it's just me. It's who I am. So when I look at myself, I just do real estate. I'm a real estate investor, and my wife and I will spend, the only time her and I don't work is on when we go out of the country for vacation. Other than that, 7 days a week, you can bet we're talking about real estate, which kills you in another conversation because you really struggle talking to people about other stuff.
but real estate's so interesting. I mean, it's just such an interesting thing, It
is.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm excited. My son's working for us now. My daughter wants to work for us, and I'm trying to get Christina's kids in. And so if we can all get in there and all of us do it together, I would love to think that, hey, I can hand y'all $100 million portfolio, $200 million portfolio, and y'all can take that and y'all can turn that into billions.
Yeah.
And coming where you come from, to think that you could create that kind of legacy for your family is just unreal. And it isn't about the money, because it's still about helping people.
Yeah.
We constantly giving back to the community, and constantly we started a foundation where we're doing housing for low to middle income people, where we're providing better homes. And we're also we haven't done it yet. And next year might be that year. I want to start building one home a year and giving it away. Mm-hmm. And so that's a goal that we have, that we want to do, that I see it finally starting to come to play, that we can probably start doing that. So it's about our educating people every way that we can, and just helping.
Well, that's fantastic. You're going to have a mini version of Habitat for Humanity going. So
very many, but it'll be much smaller.
But hey, if everybody did that, it would be much bigger than Habitat for Humanity, right?
That's
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good stuff. Well, Winston, I just applaud you. I love your story. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing it with people.
Thank you for the opportunity to share it.
Yeah, it's really great. It's great having you in the Empowered Investor Inner Circle. It's great having you in the Collective Mastermind. I look forward to seeing you at our next event. Okay, buddy?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great day.
You too. As an income property investor, imagine being able to tap into a nationwide network, actually a worldwide network, of investors who share your same challenges and successes. Imagine being able to leverage the experience of experts and learn from their achievements and their mistakes. The Empowered Investor Inner Circle is an exclusive community of like-minded and successful investors who help each other invest smarter and avoid common setbacks and pitfalls. Join us today and take your portfolio to the next level. Level up and learn from the mistakes of others. Level up and effectively self-manage your portfolio. Level up and increase your peace of mind and your profits. Level up and gain greater control.
When you join the Empowered Investor Inner Circle, you are joining a network of accomplished, experienced, and knowledgeable investors. Investors who will help you take control of your investments while saving you time and money. Managing a portfolio of income properties in a diverse range of markets across America has never been easier. With technology, almost every aspect of income property investing can be done from the comfort of your own home. Join the Empowered Investor Inner Circle for monthly live training sessions with Jason Hartman and special guests to discuss which investment strategies will work the best with your unique life situation and portfolio. Get regular real estate updates and articles so you're in the know and up to date with what's happening in the world of income properties. You will also receive inside access to Jason and his team of investment counselors who will quickly answer any of your questions. Access our Rolodex of vetted resources, including property managers, contractors, plumbers, and electricians, so you know you're getting someone who does high-quality work. Act now and we'll include 1 free year of access to Property Tracker, a web-based program that will help you manage your income, expenses, legal documents, contracts, and all contacts associated with administering income properties nationwide. A 1-year subscription to Property Tracker costs $347 per year, but if you sign up for the Empowered Investor Inner Circle today, you will receive 1 year of Property Tracker access for free. Don't let this unique opportunity pass you by. Join the Empowered Investor Inner Circle today.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.